I'm Robin Degeratu, and I'm a librarian at Center County Library and Historical Museum. For week 5 of the Summer Library Pursuit, I'm inviting you to cook along with me. I'm going to be making 2 dishes. The first is a Vietnamese style turmeric fish, and the second is a Vietnamese style turmeric tofu that's actually vegan. So if you eat fish, you can cook along with me. If you don't eat fish, you can cook along with me. Either way, let's get cooking.
Anytime I start a new recipe that I've never made before, I like to start off by preparing all the vegetables, so getting them cleaned and chopped before I start doing anything really. As you can see, I'm starting off with my shallots. This is part of the onion family and it has a kind of nice mellow flavor. It's really good for things that we saute. And you can see I have 2 shallots here. Now I'm making a double batch because I have both fish and tofu, but if you're making one or the other, you will only need 1 shallot. So you can see I've skinned them just like you would any onion, cut them in half, and then I'm mincing them and I am getting them into a ramekin. Next, I am going to clean up and slice my green onions. You can see I just sliced off the very ends of those and I'm using the white part and the green part, slicing it the whole way up and moving it into a container. I'm using ramekins because that's what I have, and setting it to the side. Then I ran to the refrigerator and grabbed my fresh dill. So fresh dill weed is an absolute must for this dish. It brightens up everything, and dill is plentiful and wonderful during the summer months. So I chopped that up and moved it into a ramekin. Next, I'm going to move on to my ginger root. You can see I'm peeling my ginger root with a vegetable peeler, but you can also just wash it under running water with a scrub brush if that's easier for you. After that, I'm going to mince it. Mincing it into small pieces helps release the flavor of the ginger. I love this ingredient. It's inexpensive and it adds so much depth of flavor when you add it to Asian dishes. After that, I'm going to move on to my garlic. As you can see, I smashed each clove with the side of my knife. That just helps me pop the garlic skin off. And then I'm moving to mincing it. So usually I measure garlic with my heart, but for this dish, it's really important to make sure I'm balancing flavors. So I'm only using 2 cloves per recipe. And then I'm going to divide this up again. I'm making 2 bowls of marinade and putting it right in the bowl. So now that I've got my garlic and ginger minced, I'm going to make the marinades. So in this green bowl, I am making the tofu marinade, and I'm using garlic, ginger, turmeric, salt, white pepper, sugar, and instead of fish sauce, I'm using soy sauce. And I'm going to mix them all up. Next, I'm going to take my tofu, which I've dried off and pressed lightly. I'm going to chop it into cubes and toss it in that marinade. Now, if you've never used turmeric before, it's obviously a really important part of this dish because it's a turmeric tofu dish or a turmeric fish dish. It has an almost peppery flavor, but it's not spicy and it's bright, bright yellow. Now that we've got our tofu marinating, we're going to get started on our turmeric fish marinade. So this marinade has all the same ingredients as the tofu marinade, except instead of soy sauce, it uses fish sauce. So fish sauce is made from fermented fish. It has a very recognizable smell and taste, and it adds kind of like a deep funkiness to any dish that it's in. It's a really important ingredient in Vietnamese cooking, and you can purchase it at most retailers in Center County. Then I will get out my tilapia. I have a little over a pound here. Now, I don't cook with fish pretty much at all. This was a first time cooking tilapia for me, and I can't emphasize enough how easy this was. So I've taken it out of the refrigerator. I'm chopping it into large chunks, and I'm putting it right in the marinade. It was hot this day, so I put it right back in the refrigerator to marinate for 15 minutes. While my tofu and tilapia are marinating, I'm going to make dipping sauce. So these are based on nuoc cham, which is a quintessential Vietnamese dipping sauce, and I'm going to make a vegetarian vegan version and a version with fish. So I've added garlic, chili garlic sauce, granulated sugar, and lime juice to each of these containers. And in the one on the left, I'm going to add soy sauce. That will be for a vegetarian version. And for the one on the right, I'm using fish sauce, which will be for the fish. Then I'm going to add about a half a cup of water to each of these containers to help make it into a sauce. And then I'll put a lid on the fish version and give it a good shake. And I'll let that sit to let the flavors kind of meld. I have a few more minutes before my fish and tofu are done marinating, so I'm going to just chop up some lettuce and some mint as well as some peanuts. These will be used to assemble the dish at the end. Alright, so let's cook the tofu. I've put a saute pan on a burner over medium heat and have added 2 tablespoons of oil. To that I've added my shallots and let them cook for 1 minute. Once they've started to get a little translucent, I'm adding in the tofu and all of the marinade, and I'm moving that around so that each side browns evenly. It'll be a little hard to tell if it's brown because of the marinade, but you just want it to be a little crispy. Then I'll finish it up by adding in dill and green onions, and it'll be ready to serve. Now let's cook the tilapia. I've got my saute pan over medium heat again with 2 tablespoons of oil in it. I let the shallots cook for 1 minute until they were translucent, and then I added the tilapia and all of its marinade to the pan. Tilapia will only need about 2 minutes per side to be fully cooked, and you definitely don't want to over or undercook it. Be safe, folks. Add in the dill and green onions, and then it'll be finished, ready to serve. Alright, let's assemble. Let's start with the tofu. To the bowl that I'm going to eat out of, I've added some of the chopped lettuce and chopped mint. Then I'm going to add some cooked rice vermicelli noodles. Now these are very thin rice noodles that you can find at the grocery store. I cooked them according to package directions and then I let them cool to room temperature. You saw that I gave them a little snip with my kitchen scissors when I put them in the bowl. That's just to make them easier to eat. I topped it with tofu, peanuts, and some of that dipping sauce, and then I took that bowl to the table. When I come back, I'm going to make the same thing, but with fish. So I start by putting lettuce in my dish that I'll eat out of, along with mint. And then I'm going to get some more of those cooked room temperature rice noodles. And then I'm going to find a spoon for my tilapia, so I'm not using my hands to grab it, but I'll top the rice noodles with as much tilapia as I care to have with it. Once I'm finished with that, I will add peanuts, and then I'll grab that fish sauce-based dipping sauce and drizzle it over the top. Finally, it's time to eat. We hope you'll try making either of these tasty Vietnamese-inspired dishes as part of the summer library pursuit. It's time to get cooking.